One of the things about multiplying is that you can end up with some pretty big numbers. When you're multiplying fractions, when you get the answer, then you have to simplify. So if you can find a way to make those numbers smaller at the end, well, then that makes things much easier, and canceling is a way to do that. So basically, canceling is reducing before you multiply. So you don't have to do it so much after, or maybe not at all. And you can do it when multiplying and dividing, but not when adding or subtracting fractions. This is only for multiplying and dividing. So to cancel, divide the same number into one numerator and one denominator. And it doesn't necessarily matter which one as long as you divide the same number into one of each, and knowing the divisibility rules does help. So here's an example. Let's say you have 6/20 times 15/17. So we're going to look for a number that goes into one of the numbers on top and one of the numbers on the bottom. And we can see right away that 6/20 would reduce. So they both divide by 2 because they're both even numbers. So that's going to give us 3/10. So that's one way to do it. But another and more common way is to cross-cancel. And cross-canceling is dividing numbers, numerators and denominators that are across from each other. So when we look at 10 and 15, we can see that 5 goes into both of those. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 5 goes into 10 twice. Now we can multiply. 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 17 is 34. So 9/34 is not going to reduce. That's the final answer. Now you can multiply more than two fractions. So let's say you have 4/5 times 15/16 times 2/3. Now you can cancel with more than two fractions, but just remember that you need to divide the same number into one of the numerators and one of the denominators. So if we look here, we can see that the numerator 15 and the denominator 5 will both divide by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. And we can also see that the numerator 4 and the denominator 16 will both divide by 4. And 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. But we're not done yet. We can cancel some more. You can see that this remaining numerator 3 and the denominator 3 would cancel out because they both divide by 3. So you can just cross them right off, or put 1 for each of them because they both divide by 3/1. And also the numerator 2 and the remaining denominator 4 will both divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I think that's as low as everything will go. So now we can multiply. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 2 times 1 is 2. The answer is 1/2. So you don't necessarily have to cancel. You could just multiply 4 times 15 times 2 and 5 times 16 times 3 and then reduce. That would be fine. You'll get the same answer. But if you do cancel, it's much easier. And sometimes when you're canceling, you'll find that you miss something and you still have to reduce when you get to the end, but not as much. Just remember that whenever you're working with fractions, the answer isn't correct unless it's simplified and reduced to lowest terms.